The origin of this attack is incredibly complicated, as you heard the White House speaking there. Talk to us about how this started.
Yeah, the mudslinging was already being directed at the NSA, the National Security Agency of the U.S., saying that, remember, back earlier this year, some of its own tools had been dumped on the public internet by hackers. Now, the blame was really being aimed at one particular tool called Eternal Blue. Now, this is meant to really penetrate a vulnerability within Microsoft's operating system. So it was able to spread, many feeling initially it was phishing emails. That's now been backtracked on by many cybersecurity experts, and they're saying actually the blame lies within sharing of documents when you're using Microsoft's operating system. Now, remember, when this was dumped by the so-called shadow brokers, who were the hackers who got to the NSA, Microsoft did send out a patch back in March saying, look, update your systems and you will be safe. But many of the companies, the institutions that have been hit have, of course, been perhaps not the most tech-savvy. NHS, National Health System here in the UK, perhaps have old systems, haven't been updating, haven't got the complexity and the costs really in their grip. And so this has been able to spread. And notably, you heard Microsoft at the very top blaming perhaps the United States. We heard from, of course, the key Microsoft president and chief legal officer, Brad Smith, writing on Sunday, saying, look, the US military have something basically equivalent to their own Tomahawk missiles being stolen here. He's trying to hint that maybe the NSA is to blame. It looks as though the Homeland Security are backing away from that.
Brad Smith also saying that this attack should be a wake-up call for the industry. Patrick, I want to talk about the reach of this. I mean, FedEx here in the United States affected, major telecom giants in Spain, hospitals in Japan and Indonesia. What does that tell you about the actual target and intention behind this attack?
Well, I think it reinforces again that cybersecurity is a very important issue, and it reinforces that it's a weapon that can be used in the wrong hands in a way that's very bad for the global economy. And the breadth of this, there was nothing novel in this attack. It was just put together leveraging a set of things that have been known for quite some time, but it was done in such a broad way that, again, it brings home how vulnerable the economy is on a global basis.
What's quite interesting, Patrick, is perhaps Asia didn't quite kick off in the way many anticipated. Everyone was bracing themselves for yet more panic. And yes, China had, well, up to 40,000 of their computers hit as expected, but many more thought it would be much bigger across Asia and prolific. Why perhaps hasn't it been? Patrick.
Looks like Patrick's having a little bit trouble hearing Caroline. So, Patrick, you know, I would like to ask you about the continued fallout from this attack. Caroline mentioned that in Asia, it took a little bit of a longer time to pick up. Are you expecting more fallout from this attack, and where?
Yeah, I think we will continue to see additional companies that are hit by the attack. If you look at the way what the attack is relying on, it's relying on two primary things. One, user behavior, that people are opening things, they're getting phished, what's called phishing in the industry. And then the second thing is that you have vulnerable systems. That's the primary combination that the adversary is hoping for to gain money. And so we will continue to see a long tail on this with additional organizations getting hit. The media coverage actually, I think, has been a real benefit because it's woken up a lot of organizations and individuals that they should be smart before they open emails.
Patrick, I want to talk a little bit about the ransom aspect of this. The way that this works is that malware penetrates a computer, locks the user out, and that in order to get back in, they have to pay the perpetrator $300 in Bitcoin, or twice as much if you're not using Bitcoin. You know, what do you make of this tactic? Of course, Bitcoin is something that's more difficult to track, but even so, couldn't that lead directly to the people who are behind this?
Well, there is a large underground that has been built from an organized crime syndicate around this on a worldwide basis. And they've built mechanisms very effectively to make it challenging to find them. And a simple way to think about it is that because they've hacked other machines around the world, they can obfuscate their IP, they can obfuscate a lot of information around them. So they're harder to find than you would think. 2 years ago, the FBI said ransomware was a $24 million problem. Last year, $850 million. This year, it'll be well over $1 billion. Organized crime is making a lot of money doing this, and it's causing a lot of challenges for businesses around the world. And this is just another step along the way. We have not seen the biggest, baddest yet.
So, Patrick, what are businesses supposed to do? I mean, do they pay? Do they wait it out?
Well, we would tell businesses not to pay, and when we talk to our customers and our prospects out there, our prospects that have been hit in the past, we see most organizations not paying and using this again as a way to have a conversation with the CEO, the executive team, and the board about how to implement smart security in today's world that is a hyper-connected world. And much of what we see in this attack comes down to basics. Patch your systems, educate your users, back up your computers, and as the CEO of Carbon Black, I would tell you to be very smart about using next-gen security products on your endpoints, on your devices.
Now, Caroline, I know you've been looking into just how far this has reached. Talk to us a little bit about the extent of where these computer systems have been hit around the world.
Well, as we were saying, what is it, 200,000 different computers, 150 different countries, as you mentioned. Here it's really been the very infrastructure of the United Kingdom. It was the national health system. As you mentioned, in Spain, we had the telecoms giant, I mean, of all companies to be hit. In Germany, a beacon of efficiency and their own German rail track, Deutsche Bahn, was hit as well. But as we hear from US to Russia, I think what's notable, Emily, and I leave you on this, though, is actually the money being extorted isn't that much. $300 a pop, only $60,000 has been paid so far. Now, that's according to Elliptic Labs, which tracks the use of illicit internet currency, of Bitcoin. That means only 200 people have paid up so far.